First Watch with Sheriff Mark Daniels on KWCD Bisbee Sierra Vista. Hosted by Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
This is First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
Nice job, Carol. It's not our traditional introduction because Grady is not here yet.
No, and so he's going to be here and he's going to fix this. So I know it's going to sound better.
Oh, it will. I mean, we don't have that deep voice going in there, but I've been told Grady's getting his Halloween costume ready, so he's working on that. So he'll be here in a few to finish the show with us, but he is running late, like I said, getting ready for Halloween, and Grady's a big Halloween guy, and he's into that Marvel costume stuff.
I know. So let's see what it is this year.
It's always good. I mean, he's got a lot of talent people don't realize, like the Miss Sierra Vista. He was big into the Miss Sierra Vista.
Yes.
In fact, he did a dance. I think it was one of the Michael Jackson
It was
dances.
Michael Jackson dance, and you can still find it on YouTube.
That's right. It is still on YouTube. He always tells me, go watch it. So Grady will be here in a few minutes, but right now it's just going to be Carol and I.
I know. So let's try to kick this off with football.
Football, yes. So Buena sitting at number 14 in the power rankings. They moved up with the win over Casa Grande. Again, no shocker win. Casa Grande been struggling this year. They were the team that they thought would be the tough one to beat. Obviously, with their coach departing halfway through the season, some turmoil within. Casa Grande still a decent team. Buena a better team. Obviously, sitting at 5-3 now, moved up to number 14 in the rankings. Obviously, Buena's going to make the playoffs tonight. They're playing CDO. Canyon Del Oro used to be a powerhouse, another program that's kind of rebuilding, sitting at a very low 500 record right now. So Buena, obviously, I think will run away with this tonight. And then on the road next Friday for Buena, they're playing Ironwood Ridge, who's also struggling with a below 500 record. So Buena should finish the season 7-3. Obviously, going to go to the playoffs, no doubt. Where they fall in the power rankings is going to be important. If they're top 8, awesome to them. That means they'll host a home playoff game. If not, they'll be on the road. The first playing game, they're going to do a playing game this year. They should host that, no doubt in my mind, and then they should go on the road from there, if I'm looking at this right. So either way, kudos to Coach Thomas, and the Colts are doing really well this year. We knew that. We predicted that. This is their season. Let's see how far they go in the playoffs.
And they're doing a really great job. Unlike some of our other people, I know there's a bet involved here that I already had to pay off one part of it. I still have to pay the second half. I get it. There's a debt of a Polar Pop, so it's going to be forthcoming. But U of A is just taking a breather. They just have to make sure that they're ready just for the final push.
You know, they're there. I mean, they're truly, and I'm being pleasant to all the Wildcat fans out there. It's like I just told you, like a feral cat trying to scratch at a bird. And you know what I'm saying? They're there. They just can't catch the bird.
Oh, they're waiting. They're going to just give it the big push.
Yeah. 4-3 Wildcats, and they've lost some close ones. One to BYU, double overtime. Boy, I tell you, like I said, they're scratching, and I say that in a positive way. But let's talk about a team that's not scratching. That is just showing the dominance, and that is your Sun Devils, ASU, sitting at 5-2. I mean, knocking out number 7. They've knocked out 2 top 10 teams. Is it 2-10? I know one. Texas Tech was number 7. Who's the other one they just knocked out too? God, they stopped out another one. But either way, our Sun Devils are stepping up, just like we thought. They were predicted to do really well this year. But ASU and Sun Devils, when they meet, we'll do another bet. That will be a game. Records don't mean anything in that. That is who plays the best game that day, because it's such a rival.
Well, that's right, and I'm looking forward to this. We'll see if I can get a Polar Pop out of it. I'm not sure, but come on, U of A. The Wildcats are going to do it. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you've been busy with meeting with some of our youth around Cochise County. So Huachuca Mountain School, you talk to their student council.
Once a year I get the privilege, and I say it's a privilege, to go talk to our young kiddos over there at Huachuca Mountain School. And it was just great, just talking about leadership and their roles as student council, the leadership within that school, and what people expect, and helping kids in need. And they are the go-to for that school when it comes to kids. And it's not just a position they hold, it's what that means, and that it's not a position, it's about the students that they serve. And so we had a really good talk, and then we did a group photo afterwards, and just a great bunch of kids, every one of them. It was a fun time with the teacher, and the teacher over there does really well with them. I mean, I'm so impressed with her, and I told the kids, my heroes are educators, no doubt about it. What our teachers do around the country and locally here is they build futures for kids. So thanks to our educators.
And we also had a group of kids from the LDS Church on Yaqui that took their time and they donated stuffed animals for us. And Deputy Dion went over there, and he's just as big as kid as everybody else, but he's so good at what he does. So thanks, Deputy Dion, for doing that. And how exciting that we are a place where people know that they want to be involved in and they want to help us in any way. And a donation of 110 animals definitely did that.
Oh, it's so nice for us. The different nonprofits, different groups, and especially kiddos like we're talking about here, that are helping others, paying that forward, especially at a young age when they learn that. So thank you to the kiddos out there that put these stuffed animals together to help kids in need or in a time of crisis. Very nice. We were very gracious to receive those.
And along the lines of kids, let's just everybody keep your thoughts for Allura, who's a 7-year-old Village Meadows Elementary student.
So sad.
There was a medical issue that she faced that she had no idea come September. She's going to have struggles ahead and challenges. And so the school is going to have an event, and I don't have all the details on the event, but you can look it up at Village Meadows Elementary School on next Tuesday, the 28th, in honor of Allura, to help out her and her family, and just take a look and see what there is and see if there's a way that you can help.
It just draws at the heart when you see a little 7-year-old that should be out there in the playground playing and throwing ball and doing all the things 7, 8-year-olds do, and then to see her, as I saw this morning. And so to her and her family and all her fellow students and stuff, my prayers and thoughts on behalf of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office. Very sad.
And you've got another event you're going to today for kids. You're going to talk about the grand opening of My Kid.
My Kid. It's a new program here in Sierra Vista. There's a grand opening at 3 o'clock today over at 365 East Short Street, which is behind the Sierra
Suites.
Sierra Suites on Friday Boulevard, in there by La Casitas, right behind La Casitas, where this is a new program for helping kids in need or kids that just need that extra attention. So anytime we can have resources for our kiddos, we've talked about here this morning, and My Kid's open and having a ribbon cutting at 3 o'clock and kind of an open house to see what they do. And so if you're interested in that, 3 o'clock today at My Kid over at 365 East Short Street, right behind La Casita and Sierra Suites.
And some of the community events. We had El Dorado last weekend, really well attended, and Grady was one of the judges there, and they have 15 gifts or prizes for the top 15 parade entrants. Or entries, and so they did a really good job with that.
It was. When I pulled into town for the parade, it was packed. It was truly packed. So, and that's what you want. The small communities, and El Dorado draws more than just a local crowd. People from all over the place, even overseas. It's amazing how many international tourists they get to come see this. But it was packed up and down the streets. It was a nice parade. I jumped in behind the marshal's office, and I just enjoy that. It's so much fun because you're driving down the street, you're talking to people, you're waving at them, and especially the kids. The kids are the best, man. They sit there and they look at you and they smile. And then when you see a kid that doesn't smile, you look at them, how can you not smile? And then they smile. So just thank you. The mayor was riding in that, and the mayor pro temp, and just a great event.
And Bisbee 1000 also knocked some socks off.
They did. Kudos to Wix Communication, which is the service to Herald, for putting that on. They actually took over that event and organization and coordination of that event. And Francis Wick was out there, I know, and Jennifer and all the team, Matt, doing that event. It was just great. I was supposed to do the starting pistol, but Lieutenant Ken Foster filled in for me because I had to go coach a soccer team. Because the coach was got injured, and they said, hey, will you fill this? So I ran over and did that, and so Ken filled in for that. But when you got 1,500 people filling your streets and your steps in this case, I mean, it's such a neat event. I've done that for years. I told Jennifer this week and Matt that from the Herald that I enjoy the heck out of doing that. It's just a lot of fun, and just seeing the smiles and the costumes now they're putting on. Yeah, if you go back and look on social media, you can see the costumes everybody was wearing. It just brings the community together, and actually it's advantageous to this county.
Was there a 6-foot hot dog doing the steps?
I would not be shocked because some of the things you see is amazing. And probably. You know, Sonic's got the 6-foot hot dog, too. I don't know if you know that. So
yeah.
ALA, American Leadership Academy, I called their football game last Friday night for this radio station, and they have a 6-foot hot dog running around. And so I even put that on, hey, if you want to see a hot dog, 6-foot hot dog, come to ALA football game. And they're out there. And but Sonic is a huge supporter of ALA sports, so that's why they're out there. So maybe the Sonic hot dog. I mean, because there can't be many running around the community.
No, it really shouldn't.
Maybe that was Sonic, and I'm giving them a blast out for the Sonic for maybe they're down there running the steps on behalf of them. I don't know.
And upcoming, you have Butterfield Stage redo.
Yeah, that was canceled 2 weeks ago. We had our Tropical Build Your Ark storm come in that didn't come in. And Carol lost a bet on that, by the way.
I get it.
I just have to say that. I mean, Carol lost a bet, and it cost her 89 cents plus tax for a puller pop. So, but yes, they're having that tomorrow, the parade and the rodeo this weekend. So, I know a lot of people are disappointed that didn't happen, but it is happening this weekend. So tomorrow and Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Benson's going to have all their events. Please come out and support our community there over in Benson.
And Sierra Vista's having Relay for Life.
Yes, tomorrow, Saturday at Veterans Park, starting at 2 o'clock is the opening ceremony for Relay for Life to honor, remember, and support those with cancer. I've done this. Jeff Davenport and I will be calling that. We've done that for many, many years. It goes till 10 o'clock at night. It is a long day. Jeff and I kind of break it up, but it's a long day of being on the microphone. I'll just say that. And you're probably saying, well, Sheriff, you talk a lot. And that's true. So that's why they have me for the first 6 hours, and then I start dropping it really quick. But either way, come on out. Support those in this community that have lost a loved one, lost somebody that was a good friend of them, or are fighting the evil called cancer. So that's what this is all about. Walk the track. If you want to do something productive, come out, walk the track, and show this community of support on that.
And there's also Cochise County. You often hear about roads, and everybody will remember the drama that surrounded the road in front of Target for years.
Oh, yes.
And ADOT, the state, actually is the ones that had to come in and make that whole. And thank God they did. So people are happy about that. But Cochise County also has road issues, and they need input from the public. So they're having a town hall on the 6th of November, starting at 5:30 and going to 7:30. And that's going to be at the Board of Supervisors room in Bisbee. And
that's one big topic. I know the county several years ago plus actually did a survey. The two most important things for residents that live in Cochise County, it was mixed between public safety and roads. And which is two things you would expect. This is an opportunity to go be voiced when it comes to your roads. And we got non-maintained roads, maintained roads. I mean, it's a plethora of different roads that we have in the county. And so we need to attend those meetings. Let your Board of Supervisors that has oversight on roads, let them know what you're thinking about that. And they're going to prioritize roads. I understand. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but they're going to prioritize and try to expand these projects. And I support that 100%. We drive the same roads that are in question here. Some of the roads out there off Yawkey, Cherokee, some of the ones off Mosen, and beyond this county need some love. So I'm glad to see the board doing that.
And tonight they're going to have National Night Out in Douglas. And it's going to start at 5 o'clock. It's going to go until 8 o'clock. And so if people haven't been to a National Night Out, it's an amazing thing getting the community involved with all of the stakeholders, including your city government, your county government, your public safety personnel, your law enforcement, your firefighters. So Chief Fullen is a huge organizer of this, and it's coming along really well. So if you want something to do in Douglas, make sure you go to National Night Out tonight starting at 5 o'clock.
It's the definition of community policing. It truly is. And I remember that was something they kicked back in the 95, 96 era. And it's something that's grown legs from there. So it's a huge event that brings community, public safety together all in one. And sadly, I won't be at that because I have a football game I got to call. So I won't be there tonight, but my team will be out there with all the swag that we bring. And so please stop by if you want to do something tonight or make the hour drive down to Douglas and enjoy the festivities. It's a great event.
And speaking of communities and Douglas has a huge, tight-knit community.
They do.
And there was an incident in Douglas earlier this week that was unfortunate, and it brought out a lot of community members. It brought out a lot of media because of the size and scale of the response, and to respond to the incident that was critical as well. So what can you tell us that we maybe need to know, people need to know about responses like this and issues like the Douglas incident that was everywhere for several hours?
Well, this was an incident where it involved one of their own. It was an officer, a tenured officer from the Douglas Police Department that's going through some very serious personal challenges. That the call came in. I was already out on doing the Hell to Router parade when this happened. And so when the call came in, we immediately responded also, and then we took over the scene for all the right reasons. This involved one of their own. We wanted to make sure we had the proper resources. We did what I call a checklist to make sure everything was done right. there were some hiccups in there. We had some media intervention in there. We had some, I think, community leaders that threw some stuff out, on and on to media that really got us and caused us some grief. I will say this, we wear a badge. We go out, and we're very good throughout this county and beyond, where we deconflict problems every day. But when it becomes our own problem, we don't do well. Everybody thinks that, hey, well, you're a cop, you should have this on their hands. Not when it comes to our own stuff. There's a trigger inside of us that I think it's worse on law enforcement when it becomes, we don't know how to address our own, even though we can deconflict yours. So this officer's going through a lot. There was no crime committed. Everybody's like, why this, why that? Listen, we bring in resources. Doesn't mean there's a crime. It means we're in life preservation. We're protecting. We're trying to keep people safe, to include the one we're trying to manage and address. And so this was a long afternoon. I'll just say it took us into like 5 or 6 in the evening. Carol, you were out there with me. A lot of resources. Listen, if it takes 100 officers to save a life, we're going to have 100 officers out there. And I'm not saying there's 100 officers, but what I'm saying is we brought resources that we thought, I want them at my disposal, not when something triggers and then I need that resource and it's not there. No, we want them there. I've always been the type of leader where I want those resources there. That way, if I need them, they're right there, because time and minutes and seconds are so important in these issues. So again, I wish the city of Douglas, I wish the community, I wish the police chief and his officers, but most important, I wish that officer well in his treatment.
And turning inwards to some of the things, from the sheriff's office centric point of view. So we have a charity ride coming up November 1st. Amazing, amazing prizes, amazing participation. Sergeant Davidson is just killing it. He's doing a really good job. If you've seen the side-by-side or the Can-Am, the tickets are still available, so you can find that on our Facebook page. But it really is to give back to our nonprofits in Cochise County.
We did. We reorganized that. I want to give a shout out before I say more on this. The Sergeant Davison and Lieutenant Ray McNeely. Sergeant Davison is transitioned and taken over, and he's been given the blunt of this thanks to a promotion to Ray McNeely, who's lieutenant now. And let me tell you, I talked to Jesus the other day, and he is pulling his hair out. I mean, it's a lot of work between the plans, the funding, the everything to bring that together, the vendors. So that is November 1st at the Nissan dealership right next to the American Southwest Credit Union, which is another one of our partners in this. And we have 500-some participants every year to come out, and we'll be pulling out of there, I think, around 9 o'clock, 8:30, right, somewhere in there, and we go down Friday Boulevard. It's kind of an unofficial parade. If that sounds, I know somebody in the city is going, you guys can't have a parade without permit, and I respect that. So long story short is, come watch it. We get a lot of people lined up when we pull out with all the off-road vehicles, the Harleys. I'll be riding my Harley this year. And some people bring out their vintage cars.
Yeah.
And so it's just a neat event. But at the end of the day, the funds raised, 100% of the funds raised through our community go into helping like Shop with the Cop, the kiddos there in need, and different programs throughout the year. So if you have a need, reach out to us, see if we can help you, because we do funding throughout the year for different projects like schools and things like that.
And we also have a community donation that's coming in today that you're going to accept. And so we'll have more about that next week. But, it's awesome that people come together and they think of the sheriff's office to help support.
It is. We have 2 501c, which is your nonprofits federal status, that allows us to take donations. And we can take donations as a government, too, as a government body. But we have a donation at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll have to talk more about that next week. But we thank when people call us and say, hey, I'd like to give $500. I'd like to just help you. Whether it goes into the Employee Welfare Fund, whether it goes to Search and Rescue, our Sheriff's Assist team, whatever it may be, we appreciate that. We truly do. Because that's a reflection, a report card back that they feel trusted and they support what we're doing. So thank you so much. We'll have more on the donation next Friday.
And one of the big topics is the jail. The election's coming up November 4th. Make sure you get your ballots done if you choose to, and how you vote is up to you. But the Nigel report was released in a redacted form after review. Cochise County Attorney Lori Zucco and you came together and you cleared up some additional redactions, so you made a little bit more of it available. Some of the criticisms we're hearing is, why are you even bothering, because you can't read it, you still can't see anything.
Well, it falls under to a risk assessment, and people can argue all day. We got this report was done in 2021 as a result of a kind of a GPS system. How do we go forward by experts? Experts outside the sheriff's department that has no biases inside. You can ask him in my detention bureau and say, hey, do we need a jail? 100% is going to tell you, yes, you need one. And let me just say 99% because there's always that one. Okay? But it's going to be overwhelming that we need a new jail. If you've toured it, you know we need a jail. The jail's 40 years old. So we brought a company in outside the auspice of Cochise County to say, take a look at this, tell us what we need. They came in. Obviously, the recommendation was not a remodel. The recommendation was it's time to rebuild. It's time to put a new facility up that meets infrastructure needs and mandates, but also meets today's industry standards. That's where we're at. Now, that's also a risk assessment. It shows weaknesses in this facility and operational weaknesses. So bottom line at this is if we release that, we expose, I've said before, weaponize that facility to liability, to risk, and let's just be real, escapes. I mean, you know where the weaknesses are, you know where things aren't working, and we don't need that. And there's risk assessments on Fort Huachuca, sensitive government offices, all the way up to the White House. Do they release their risk assessments? Ask for theirs and see how much redaction you get. You probably won't even get anything, especially at the federal level. Here, I'm all about transparency to the point where it jeopardizes my men and women, my oath, in this case, the operation of a jail to include the inmates that I'm taking oath to safeguard. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to release that. Now, I rely on legal, Lori Zuko and her civil team to tell me what I can and can't do, because this is in an administrative legal matter. And the reason it came up the last 6 months is we had an individual that says, I want a copy of it. That's what sparked all this debate. All of it. And so that redacted copy, Lori Zuko looked at it and called me this week, and said, hey, I think we can release a few more things. That's up to legal. It truly is. I state my case, and this was also done in an executive session. So I can't release anything or share comments in executive session. That's by state law, policies, rules, and if I do, I'm in jeopardy of violating the law. That ain't going to happen either. And that was done under the auspice of legal, which falls under attorney-client privilege. Now, if a judge says, I want you to release the whole thing redacted, judge, you own it. You own it, and something bad happens, I'll be the first to stand up and say, I didn't agree with it. I tried everything I could to protect my men and women and the inmates within. After that, it goes back to the judge. So there are reasonable, the key is reasonable objections to this and steps that we have done under the auspice of legality too.
And keeping the men and women safe, including, personnel and inmates. There was a fire reported at the jail. It was a motor for a door that, caused some serious issues. So kitchen workers, inmates, staff had to be treated because of the smoke inhalation as a result of that. And that's just one more thing that's coming out. People were, again, trying to make it a conspiracy where, there was a fire and isn't it convenient timing. And that's offensive. Speaking specifically to the number of people, regardless of whether they were civilian staff, detention staff, or inmates, that really could have suffered serious injury.
It's very offensive. I mean, here you got men and women that are doing everything they can, not for a lot of money, to protect and fulfill their oath. And all the way up to our kitchen workers, all the big team down there at the jail. It's a little city built within, all doing their right thing. And you got inmates down there. These inmates were trustees working within the kitchen area, and they all had to be medically treated, forward transported under the protocols. I mean, and then there's people out there saying that we set that. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't even know how to respond to these people. I mean, just so insensitive. This is social media, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to get a headache, bring your Tylenol and read some of these comments. It's incredible what people say, and it's almost like cyberbullying. It truly is. I mean, these officers that work in there and the staff, they have families. They worry about them when they go into that facility and work, and then we do have an issue because of I call it mechanical protocol failure, which is part of our infrastructure. And then you got people criticizing like it's a setup. Shame on you. I'm sorry. Shame on you.
And so talking about the men and women, thank goodness we still have people who are willing to put themselves in that position for, it's hard to be a detention officer because you're basically in a prison or a confined jail facility your entire shift, and you have to keep going back day after day after day. And so they do an amazing job at that. And we've got 14 that are graduated yesterday out of the first detention academy, the first official detention academy from the sheriff's office. And that's pretty exciting.
It is. So, first of all, let me say this at the fire, to revert back for a sec. The people protocols worked. The people protocols to bring that incident in check was because of the people working in that jail. Mm-hmm. And they did it through some very difficult times, rooms filled with smoke, and they still took care of it, protected life. If this would have happened after hours in our kitchen, who knows? We dodged a bullet on this one. I hate to use the word bullet. We dodged it. We truly did a crisis. So, again, thanks to the men and women. I sent out an email this week thanking them for their efforts and their dedication. Let me just say this, and the fact that anytime you work in a facility of public safety, especially in detention, correctional facilities, you have to be vigilant. And then you throw the failures of our jail on top of that. Let me just say that they got to be, their vigilance becomes magnified. They got to do it double. They really do. They got to be looking for more than just people that are trying to attack them or hurt them or harm them or trying to escape. They have to look at what the facility's not doing for them. So again, I thank the men and women. You say it well, Carol. And having the 14 that are graduating, let me rephrase that too, graduated yesterday. I mean, kudos to them. Kudos to this group of professionals that just graduated from our first Detention Officer Academy. I'm so excited about it, Class 25-1. And that's something we want to work into Cochise College and have a partnership with them. We already have an academy with the college in partnership for our sworn officers. Now we want to do this with the jail. This was actually done in-house at the Sheriff's Office. Graduation great. Thanks to Judge Karwaska for coming in, being our guest speaker, and swearing him in, doing all the things he does in support of law enforcement and public safety. But thank you to our 14, and thank you to their families. And you got my commitment. We'll do everything we can to keep them safe.
Absolutely. So tell us about your stop of the week. Stop
of the week. You know, I don't know if driving just becomes more of a habit and a hobby than it does a mandate. If that makes sense, what I'm saying. Going on the road, here's a guy driving his car, and both hands in front of the steering wheel, and his phone's there, and he's texting. He's driving the car with his knees. Now, I'm not saying, well, I haven't put our knees on the steering wheel, sure, it's going straight, but when your observation and your attention is on the phone and you're driving with your no hands, I mean, the hands-free thing was taken out of text with this guy. I mean, I stopped him. Unfortunately, why I stopped him, he had some other issues involved, to include some suspended registration and some other issues, but and a vehicle tow for 20 days for some other issues. But what I'm saying to you is folks, you got to get off the phone. I've had a couple stops this week with the phones. You have to put that phone down. You cannot have the phone in front of you, because when you got the phone in front of you, what's more important? That conversation, that text, whatever you're doing, your attention's 90% on that phone, 10% on the road. Somebody's going to get hurt. And again, it's something that I remind people on this show. I tell people I stop them. It is illegal. And everybody stop. I say 9 out of 10 say, if not 100%, say, I know, sorry. That's an easy way out until you hit somebody. Then the sorry becomes less and less meaningful. So again, just be careful out there. Put the phones down. Get hands-free. Whatever it takes. Let's drive safe out there.
So Sheriff Mark Daniels, invite everybody out to football.
So tonight, it's the last game for Buena High School on the regular season. They're hosting CDO Canyon del Oro, a team out of Tucson that's struggling. So Buena should have a good night tonight. And but pregame at 6:30, kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Hopefully we'll see you out there, or at least tune in with us.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas, and our next guest is from the Bisbee Community Coaster Race. Hi, introduce yourselves.
So I'm Robert Donahue. I'm the racetrack coordinator with the Bisbee Community Coaster Race.
And my name is Michael Donahue, and I'm the vice president of the committee for the coaster race.
All right, and you are a recipient of this year's Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride. So let's talk about what the Bisbee Community Coaster Race is.
So the Bisbee Community Coaster Race started, there's some disparagement of when it exactly started. Some sources say 1911, some sources say 1914. But regardless of the matter, it goes back over 100 years. It started out with kids building quasi soapboxes and racing down from the up above the tunnel in Bisbee down to the post office in Bisbee. Started there. It evolved over the years into a men's race with coasters with 2 riders up to 600 pounds. Some accidents happened and the race was shut down in around 1980. There was some people killed, unfortunately, during the race. And in 1993, the race came back. A few Bisbee residents that had been previously involved got together, put the race back together for kids again, and they standardized a set of rules that we pretty much still stick to today. And since 1993, it's been a kids race run every 4th of July. The race was historically run every 4th of July. And we have kids all the way from 9 all the way up to 17 run in 2 separate classes. 300 and 350 pounds. They, every 4th of July, jump in and make their way from the underpass at Tombstone Canyon and Highway 80 all the way down to the post office in Bisbee.
And how do the kids get involved in this? Is this something they start planning for way in advance, or is it like a last-minute thing? Do you help them build things? How does that work?
Well, what we've done in the past is my children have been involved for a while. First of all, you got to find a ride. It's kind of like racing. You got to find a ride. There's so many coasters in the community. Some of them have built a long time ago, been raced for a long time. This year we had a brand new one built by somebody. And the first thing is the children got to find a ride and find somebody that has one. With us, we have one that's a long-time coaster, but my children have participated since a long time ago. Now I have grandchildren participating in it. So they're pretty secure in their ride now. But other people have coasters that don't have children or grandkids, and they find kids and they volunteer their coasters for one of my grandchildren rides a coaster that somebody volunteers. It's local from Bisbee. It's been around for a long time. So it's finding a ride. And once you find a ride, if hopefully you found it before, because not only do you race down Tombstone Canyon, there's trial runs that you have to do. So we go down to the Warren Cutoff, from Warren down to the Highway 80, and they have to make a successful run down the Warren Cutoff. We set up a couple of cones, they have to do a little slalom, and they have to make it to the end. Fear is the biggest thing with new kids. If they ride the brakes, they kind of tend to not make it to the end, so we bring them back up and let them do it again. Once they complete the Warren Cutoff run, we actually, a week before the race, we have what we call a shakedown run down the canyon. They can go down the canyon so they get the feel of the canyon. They can't race down the canyon, technically. You know, the more experienced riders, they like to push the envelope a little bit. It's not as clear on that day as it is on the 4th of July. But then they do that. So it takes a while to get the kids into the race. It's like 2 months of prepping to get to the race itself. But like I say, first of all, you got to find a ride.
This sounds like it's going to be a really fun event. How can the community help you as a 501c3 and for the event?
I would say for the event itself, the race is always looking for more participants. And we've had participants vary over the years. I think one year the most we seen was 23, 24 in the time I've been doing it at least. And this past year we had 20, 19? 19 go down for 2025. So it's always good to have more because the coaster race, while it does happen at 8 a.m. a little early on the 4th of July, it brings a big crowd. Last year was actually my first year being at the finish line for the race. And I never really saw the crowd that it drew. And it was the streets of Bisbee right there, Main Street, the post office was just packed. So it brings a big crowd. So we like to be able to get as many coasters as we can. And us as a committee, we try to get people that show up or get in contact with us as, you know, that have kids that want to race with coaster owners. And we have coaster owners that reach out to us that say, hey, I need a kid to go down in my coaster this year. I don't have nobody. So we try to do that. So always people trying to reach out and race and participate. And there are people that will build these things. We had one of the local fab shops in Sierra Vista a few years ago built a coaster that raced for a couple times. As Mike said, we had a coaster come out brand new that was built in Tucson this year. It was built similar to some coasters that have already kind of won for a few years. So they were they kind of based it off of that. But I mean, the possibilities are endless with the coasters. The rules are they're strict, but they're flexible as far as you can design it. So participants is always what we look for. We always want more kids to come out, always want more people to race. Ourselves as a 501c3, we do, we have our consistent donors every year, but like this year, I think we had our funds up to around like $3,000 is what we managed right before the race. And most of that gets spent in the year. The race usually costs us around $3,000 to run. So that's usually, we have consistent donors that give us stuff every year, and they help keep the race alive. But donors is always what we need, because most of the extra money we get, we put it towards making the race safer. That's the big part of the race. And it's largely where my heart sits in the race, because I'm the track coordinator. I got to set everything up, from barricades to clearing the road, all kinds of stuff. So we always try to push to make the race safer every year. So when we get extra funds, we try to think of ways we can make it safer, ways we can make the race better. And we do, depending on how much money we have, we adjust our prize money, because it goes back to the kids in the end. They get the prize money. So that's the way we do it with donations and volunteers. A big thing, the coaster race has been around Bisbee for over 100 years, and even then, the majority of the people that volunteer, I think only one of us, Charmaine, was not involved in the race as either a kid or a parent. The rest of us were either involved as a racer or a parent or guardian, uncle, what have you, as a racer. So it's hard to get volunteers to come in, because it's one of those things where if you're not involved, you don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. So another way that, we reach out to people is to volunteer. I mean, we have a few days, usually right around the 4th, the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th are our busiest days of work. And everybody wants to enjoy the holiday. But the more volunteers we have, the easier it is for everybody. We can go, enjoy the race, tear it down, and enjoy the rest of the 4th of July.
If you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, or if you just want to find out more information about the Bisbee Community Coaster Race, where can we send them? So
our main open line of communication that we try to do, and where we share all of our information right now, is Facebook. Bisbee Coaster Race is the name of the page. We're pretty responsive to messages there. We get messages all the time about building coasters and stuff like that. And several of us have access to the page. So we're pretty good about getting back to people when they have questions and stuff. That's our main line of communication.
So if you want to be involved, one way you can do it is getting your tickets for the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride, and you can go online to purchase those right now at www.cochise.az.gov/sheriff. And that's where you can get your tickets. And then don't forget, there's also some great raffles at the event. And all of this money goes to help the beneficiaries, one of which is the Bisbee Community Coaster Race. And we thank you guys for coming and talking to us today.
Of course. Appreciate you, the Sheriff's Office, picking us as a beneficiary. It's definitely going to help us get the next few years of this race stable and going, and hopefully safer for the kids.
Make it safer, the biggest thing.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and in our studio is our next guest. It's Susan. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
And you are one of the recipients for the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride. Your 501c3 will be receiving $10,000. What is that 501c3?
So I'm with the Champions for Youth Foundation, and I'm the treasurer for that. And I'm also the co-chair for our capital campaign, where we're constructing the Wilcox Farm Ranch and Youth Events Center.
Excellent. That's what the money's going to be used for. But before we even get to that, tell us what the Champions for Youth Foundation is.
So we started in 2018, and it's really about expanding opportunities for youth, especially geared towards agriculture and rural communities.
And you guys are in Wilcox.
Yes, we're in Wilcox.
And you guys have like a subdivision that is building this wonderful structure. Tell us about that.
And so we're building the Wilcox Farm Ranch and Youth Events Center there at Quail Park in Wilcox. And it's all about kind of preserving our region's agriculture heritage and driving economic growth by having an event center where we can have events and community gatherings.
and you're going to be getting $10,000 from the charity ride this year. What is that money going to be used for?
So we just recently completed the 56,000 square foot arena and event center, and that 10,000 will go towards some of the amenities that we need to keep it going, and bleachers and restrooms, commercial kitchen.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, we're working hard.
So for the Champions of Youth Foundation in Wilcox, how can the community help you? What do you need from the community?
So it's really a grassroots effort, and everything we've done thus far has been through community donations and an Arizona State Parks and Trails grant. And so it's grassroots funded. Anything people can do to contribute to that funding would be really appreciated.
So how can people get a hold of you to help you out?
So they can email us at wxeventcenter@gmail.com, or they can go online to championsaz.org/WEC.
So congratulations on getting the $10,000 from the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride. What do you want to say to the sheriff?
We want to say how appreciative we are of the funding that they're providing. It's a wonderful thing they do, and we're honored to be one of their recipients this year.
And another way you can help the Champions for Youth Foundation is by going and getting your tickets to the charity ride. You can do that by going online to www.cochise.az.gov/sheriff and purchase your tickets there. And remember, there are several recipients of the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride, and you've just met Susan from the Champions for Youth Foundation. Thanks for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, Grady.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and our next guest from the Sierra Vista Police Department. Good morning.
Good morning, Grady. How are you?
Introduce yourself to us.
I'm Trish Harmon, Community Service Officer with Sierra Vista PD.
You've got an event coming up this Sunday that everybody's excited about.
Yes, sir. We've got the 19th annual Bearcat Pole for Special Olympics Arizona. It's a yearly event that we've put on for the last almost 20 years, and on average we raise anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 for Special Olympics Arizona. These funds help to fund their travel, their equipment, their lodging for these athletes to be able to go and participate in different sporting events across the nation.
Everybody's going to be pulling a Bearcat. What is that?
So the Bearcat is the SWAT vehicle that SVPD has. It's the big armored vehicle, weighs 17,000 pounds. And we also have, hopefully, if everything pans out, the Army is going to be bringing a very special apparatus for us to pull. And we have a great inaugural pull for that particular vehicle. I won't say what it is, but we're very excited that it's going to be there.
But I understand it's very large. Can we say that?
Yes.
It's a very big vehicle.
It weighs about 40,000 pounds.
Whoa, okay.
So it'll be good.
So this Sunday is the event. Is it too late to pull together a team?
No, you can register all the way up until 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, which is when the event actually kicks off. And honestly, if you came to me middle of the event and said, hey, I really want to pull in a category, I'm going to let you. And our different categories are the Ironman, which is a 6-man team, can be women as well. We have the men's team and the women's team. Men's is 8, men's is 8, women's is 10, and then we have a co-ed team, which has to be a 5-4 split. Doesn't matter which way. It just has to be 5 men or 5 women on the team, and that's 9. That's a 9-member team.
And you can sign up as late as this week. So if you want to try to get your team together today, make sure you reach out. We're going to give you some contact information in a minute, and you can get in on this on Sunday. It's going to be so much fun. But first, before we get to that, your contact information, let's talk about some of the sponsors that make this happen.
Most of our funds do come from sponsors, and we have 4 very generous sponsors for us this year. We've got the Southern Arizona Contractors Association. We've got AZ G&T Cooperative that chipped in. We also have Garfield's Honeydew Lawn Service and Tierra Antigua Realty. They all chipped in. No teams required. They just said, yeah, we want to support a good cause. So we definitely appreciate the funds coming from that. And we will also have some food trucks on scene as well. For the event, they're going to have food for purchase. They're not donating their food, they're just donating their time. And that's going to be Love Stack Pancakes, Tombstone Coffee, and hopefully Chew Philly, I'm just waiting for the final confirmation from them, but the owner did tell me he was planning on being there. So
if people don't have a team, they can still come watch this, though. It's free to the public.
Absolutely. You just show up. It's going to be on the west side of Vets Park by, I believe it's Ramada 2. So it's right in between the pavilion and the volleyball courts. Just look for the Big Bearcat. And then there should be some marked vehicles with lights on, and it'll just be a big crowd. The event happens in the parking lot. It doesn't happen on the grass. We're going to have DJ V with Urban Entertainment there providing some music for us. And it's just going to start out as a big party, because if there is one thing that our Special Olympic athletes love to do, it's dance. So please come out in the morning and dance with these guys. They don't stop. So you can come out, just hang out, and just watch. It is a good time. And again, it's just for a great cause.
You can help Special Olympics right here in our area with the Bearcat Pool. If you want to put together a team, if you want to just go watch, how can they get a hold of you to make that happen?
So you've got two ways to reach out to me. One, you can call our dispatch non-emergency line, and if I'm on duty, they're going to put you straight through to me. That number is 520-803-3550. Just ask for Trish Harmon or 618. The other option is to call the front desk at the station, the police station. That's 520-452-7500. The only drawback to calling them is they will put you through just straight to my voicemail. And then the other option, of course, is email, and it's trish.harman, and that's HARMAN, at sierravista.az.gov.
Well, we thank you for coming and talking to us today, and thank you for everything you do for Special Olympics.
Thanks, Grady.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler, and in our studio is our next guest. It's Susan. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
And you are one of the recipients for the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride. Your 501c3 will be receiving $10,000. What is that 501c3?
So I'm with the Champions for Youth Foundation, and I'm the treasurer for that. And I'm also the co-chair for our capital campaign, where we're constructing the Wilcox Farm Ranch and Youth Events Center.
Excellent. That's what the money's going to be used for. But before we even get to that, tell us what the Champions for Youth Foundation is.
So we started in 2018, and it's really about expanding opportunities for youth, especially geared towards agriculture and rural communities.
And you guys are in Wilcox.
Yes, we're in Wilcox.
And you guys have like a subdivision that is building this wonderful structure. Tell us about that.
And so we're building the Wilcox Farm Ranch and Youth Events Center there at Quail Park in Wilcox. And it's all about kind of preserving our region's agriculture heritage and driving economic growth by having an event center where we can have events and community gatherings.
And you're going to be getting $10,000 from the charity ride this year. What is that money going to be used for?
So we just recently completed the 56,000 square foot arena and event center, and that $10,000 will go towards some of the amenities that we need to keep it going, and bleachers and restrooms, commercial kitchen.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, we're working hard.
So for the Champions of Youth Foundation in Wilcox, how can the community help you? What do you need from the community?
So it's really a grassroots effort, and everything we've done thus far has been through community donations and an Arizona State Parks and Trails grant. And so it's grassroots funded. Anything people can do to contribute to that funding would be really appreciated.
So how can people get a hold of you to help you out?
So they can email us at wxeventcenter@gmail.com, or they can go online to championsaz.org/WEC.
So congratulations on getting the $10,000 from the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride. What do you want to say to the sheriff?
We want to say how appreciative we are of the funding that they're providing. It's a wonderful thing they do, and we're honored to be one of their recipients this year.
And another way you can help the Champions for Youth Foundation is by going and getting your tickets to the charity ride. You can do that by going online to www.cochise.az.gov/sheriff and purchase your tickets there. And remember, there are several recipients of the Cochise County Sheriff's Charity Ride, and you've just met Susan from the Champions for Youth Foundation. Thanks for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, Grady.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. I'm Grady Butler. With me is Carol Kappas and our next guest from Horse and Around Rescue. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you this fine morning?
I am great. We always love it when you come in because that means something fun is going to happen with Horse and Around Rescue.
Absolutely.
So remind us what Horse and Around Rescue is.
Horse and Around Rescue is a nonprofit started out in 2010. We've taken in 226 or 27 horses. We've adopted out about 118. We're down to 59 now, believe it or not, Grady. It's
nice.
Wonderful.
That's great.
And we're all run by volunteers. And it's an incredible gift that this community has given to us to have us playing in this game called Horse and Around Rescue.
And Empire Ranch Foundation is having an event that you guys are a part of, and it's called the Cowboy Festival. It's going to be November 1st. What is that going to be?
That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a family-oriented type of situation. We'll have our mini horses out there in a booth selling raffle tickets and so on, but they're going to have all kinds of stuff. They got an arena, they got demonstrations, they got kid demonstrations, they got kid events, they got food vendors, they got everything you can think of.
Trail rides, exhibits, music, arena demos.
Yes.
You were telling me that the kids' activities, what did they do last year?
Oh, last year I think it was that they did stick horses. They had stick horse races with kids.
That's so fun.
Out in the middle of the arena. Oh, it was a blast. They got them by age groups, and so the little guys get a head start from the big guys, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, this is going to take place in Sonoyta a week from tomorrow, November 1st.
Yes.
10 to 4 in Sonoyta.
That is correct.
How much does it cost to get in?
It costs nothing to get in. We ask for a donation and parking because that's the only income we got specifically off of there other than booths and stuff like that for the Empire Ranch Foundation. But I've been involved with the Empire Ranch Foundation since we started it, and it's fun to see that thing go. It's a really fun event for families, and that's why it's a festival.
And let's take a step back, and what is the Empire Ranch Foundation? What do they do?
The Empire Ranch Foundation was started in I don't remember exactly. It was started quite a while back, right after the Bureau of Land Management got the Empire Ranch, and they call it the Las Ciénegas National Conservation Area. And what the Empire Ranch Foundation is the private sector part of the partnership with the BLM to turn around and rebuild the buildings and fix the stuff and do lots of different things at the ranch that the government can't quite do, but a nonprofit can do. So we've been a nonprofit for 20 years too, or thereabouts. So it's cool. It really is.
So this event's going to be fun for the whole family. It's a week from tomorrow, November 1st. Mark it on your calendars in Sonoyta, 10 to 4. It's free and open to the public. There is a donation in the parking lot, and it's going to have fun for the whole family all day long. Invite everybody out to the event one more time.
One more time. Grady, thank you. The Empire Ranch Foundation it's off the Empire Ranch. It's called Las Ciénegas National Conservation Area. It's south of the 40-mile marker on Highway 83. You turn right. It's a paved road right up to the ranch now, and it's a lot of fun. It's a family-oriented type of thing that we've been doing for a lot of years and want to continue to do it. And come have a good time. I mean, there's blacksmiths going to be there. There's a guy that does silver going to be there. There's a guy that does braiding of ropes, of rawhide ropes, briadas. There's just lots of different things that come into this. It's pretty fun.
Well, Steve, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
You betcha, Grady. Thank you anytime.
First Watch on KWCD Country is brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.
You've been listening to First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative. Keep up to date. Follow the Cochise County Sheriff's Office on Facebook. And tune in next Friday, 7 a.m. for First Watch right here on KWCD.